Welcome everybody to Dead Talk Live, and tonight special guest from formerly, as of last night, the former Carver from The Walking Dead, Alex Meraz. Alex, thank you for being here. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm waiting for Carver's Revenge. I'm sure the spinoff.
You never know. You never know. So there's no nice way to put this. Carver was a straight up prick. Okay? There's really no other way to put it, but it looks like you had a blast playing this guy. How did you embrace the character of Carver?
um, I mean, first I'll say is like the casting of it. Um, I was supposed to film. I had booked a TV series for Netflix, a mini series, and it was going to be filming in Australia. And the COVID restrictions were pretty crazy to where I'd have to fly out there, and I think it was 2 weeks in a quarantine hotel, and I couldn't bring my family, and that was a big incentive for me. I
Yeah.
have two kids, and my wife, so I had already got the offer, and we were kind of going back and forth, and then the audition for The Walking Dead came in, and a year before this was last year in actually a year almost to the day. It was in February when I first got the audition, but a year before that in 2020, I had asked my son, he's a teenager, he's 13,
Hmm.
and I have ideas of what I'd like to be doing in my career, but I thought, well, shit, let me ask him, like, what would you like to see dad in? And man, he didn't even skip a beat. He's like, The Walking Dead. I was like, oh, what? I was like, I've never, and I thought about, I'm like, I've never even come across an audition for the show. Like,
Yeah.
they've never, there hasn't been a role for me, or just for whatever reason, just fate didn't have it happen that way. So I normally, if I have an offer, I don't ever go out on something, but I thought, well, shit, my son did ask for The Walking Dead. It came in. I'm not really too happy about going to Australia, under the circumstances. So I auditioned for a really vague scene. The names were switched around. It was a scene where me and Leah and Daryl were
Hmm.
like clearing the houses, and we have like an argument, and then he's hiding. Daryl hides like a carpet where Maggie's hiding,
Hmm.
and so it was that scene, but the names were changed, so I didn't know it was Daryl. It was like his name was like Ben or some weird
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I just did the audition, threw it in there. I mean, it was written to be an asshole. I didn't invent that. He was supposed to be a post-apocalyptic a-hole. But yeah, we got to. It was a quick turnaround. They came back around with an offer. It was like within a week, um, and then and they were so accommodating on the show. Like, yeah, we'll fly him out, and they actually had me and my wife and my kids. We stayed in the walls of Alexandria.
Wow.
Yeah. So we were like, they would be filming, and all they would ask is if we turn the lights off. So we like turn the lights off, and we could like peek outside, and we see, walkers running around and zombies everywhere. And
That is so cool.
dude, it was awesome. And my son, who's biggest fan of The Walking Dead, he got to meet, the cast, and got to see some zombies. He got to sit in the director's chair. And it was,
Nice.
yeah, it was a
Oh
cool
man, I
experience.
can imagine what kind of treat that was for him. So you get the part, you get the real names, you see who you're going to be doing. Did you embrace the part of the antagonist? Did you add your own little swagger to Carver?
Yeah, I was training at a CrossFit gym, right? And there were some fans, big fans of the show, and they were really like really terrified of Negan's character.
Uh-huh.
Negan, like, oh
Yeah.
man, that guy's super fucking freaky, man. Like, you have scenes with that guy, he's so intense. And I was like, oh, okay. But I almost took it as a challenge. Well, shit, I'm supposed to be the badass. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I better pick it up, man. There ain't no softy. So I definitely thought like I have to find ways to just stand out. And up until that point, I had only seen a couple of episodes. So as soon as I got to Georgia, I mean, I binge watched from the very first episode
Wow, that's a
to the
lot of.
10th season. Yeah, it was another time. I had a full time job within filming, and as soon as I come home, my part time job was like watching all the shows. So I was living and breathing The Walking Dead. You know, within even living on an active film set too. So
Wow. Now, in yesterday's episode, action-packed episode, you showed off, some amazing moves in that hallway
yeah.
with Lauren, Maggie, and Negan and Elijah. Uh, how much time did they have you work with a stunt coordinator, and how much of that was actually you, and how much of it was a stunt double?
I mean, Norm was pretty funny about it. We had a Daryl, right? We had, there was one day they brought me in. First, I didn't know there was any martial arts stuff.
Hmm.
My background is in martial arts. So I did Muay Thai, did Jiu-Jitsu, Capoeira. It's like a Brazilian martial art. Did that for like over 15 years. I got a black belt in Shotokan karate.
Nice.
And then for like 20 years, I was a break dancer. So physically, I was always just, just always did martial arts since I was really little. And so I didn't think I was going to do any fight scenes because I didn't know that they had choreography.
Yeah.
I thought it was, real simple. You kill zombies. So,
I mean,
um,
those moves, like I said, in the hallway that you did were damn good. Uh, Again, was that you the whole time, or did they put in a stunt double?
yeah. So initially I had, they brought me in my first day for prep. It was me and Norman, and the stunt choreographer. And they had like devised like a fight scene when Daryl fights with the Reapers the first time at night, and then Dog gets thrown,
Yeah.
and so my character was introduced in that, but I had a mask on, so you couldn't even see. So I had learned the choreography, and I remember Norm thought I was a stunt guy at first. He's like, oh man, wow, And then they're like, oh yeah, no, he's gonna be playing Carver. He's like, oh shit, oh man, you move like a stunt guy. I thought you were stunts, I was like, oh. And and then he was like, then he thought about it for a second. He was like, wait, did you know you were going to be doing this, or like, I was, man, honestly, I had no fucking idea. He's like, dude, they lucked out on you, man. Like, you for real can do it. So no, he actually gave me a really good piece of advice though, which I should have took on earlier. Which he told me, he's like, look, they get really excited when they film action scenes. He's like, they'll do like 40 takes of the same thing, and if you get hurt, man, they're gonna just keep going anyways. He's like, so just, get your stunt guy to do some of it. Don't try to do all of it, because he's got like a really bad knee and shoulder injury.
Yeah.
12 years of doing the show.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
he's definitely wore it. So I thought, yeah, all right. I thought about it, and then but I got super excited. I wanted to do all my own stuff, and then I got banged up quite a bit. I ended up having it was heat exhaustion, they called it, but it felt like a damn heat stroke. Like I had to go to the hospital and put some IV bags in me.
Jeez.
Yeah, it was pretty intense. But yeah, for the fight scene between Maggie, Negan, and
Elijah.
Elijah. Yeah, I was thinking his real name. Okay. Um, yeah, that was on the spot, man. I showed up. They had a really good stunt double. He was a Frenchman. He was from France. He was doing some awesome stuff, but they had to they needed some of my reactions, like tight reactions of my face.
Yeah.
And so once we started doing it, the director was just like, "Fuck, this guy can't. He can really do it. Let's just do it bit by bit. Let's just have Alex do the whole choreography." So I ended up like, man, it was on the fly. They threw me in there. The choreographer and my stunt double were just showing me like, okay, in this section, you're gonna have to block Negan when he tries to hit you and grab it. You got to push kick so and so, So all right, so we had to do it little by little. So yeah, when you see that footage, most of that's me. My stunt double's in there a little bit too. He was good though, man. He was damn good. When I saw what he was doing, I'm like, hey man, he's making me look awesome, so he could go ahead and take it. But
did that whole sequence take a full day to shoot?
Yeah, that was yeah, actually, yep. That whole yeah, that was a whole film day, film the whole night. And then I remember we ran out of time, and I remember they had to rush Norm because we also did the scene afterwards where I get knocked out.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's a whole bit of dialogue. Like that thing was like done in 2 takes, and Norm got rushed in, and he's like, "Oh man," they were like trying to, okay, we just need you to say your lines here. And
yeah, he stopped them from killing you. So there you are. You're kicking Lauren's ass. You're kicking Elijah. You're kicking Jeffrey's ass. Now, Norman, he wasn't exactly in the fight. He came in and saved you to use you as sort of
Yeah.
trade bait at the end. Now, I've interviewed a lot of people from the Walking Dead universe, and they all say Norman is, when you meet him in person, he's not that big, kind of intimidating guy. He's like
Mhm.
5'10". I don't want to insult Norman, but what is he like in person when you stand toe to toe with him?
Um, yeah, he's fucking. Look, I came from in my breakdancing, background. We loved him in Boondock Saint
Oh yeah,
and in Blade Two, you know, and that was actually one of the things that when I first met him, I was like just a super fan. But I had to keep it, under wraps. So I was
yeah,
like, oh hey,
yeah.
what's up? And I had to keep it cool. But I'm like, oh fuck. And but it dawned on me my breakdancing name was Nomak. And
Oh,
Nomak in Blade 2 was a Reaper. And then I was like talking to Norm, and I thought, holy shit, dude, like I my I loved Blade 2 and I watched that movie so damn much to the point where I even at one point I copied Norm's hair in it. I like textured it a certain way, and I was like, damn, dude, I'm playing a Reaper right now, and I'm
yeah,
with you. And it was like just the way the universe kind of like
yeah.
manifested all.
The irony is just really phenomenal. So there's this underlying love triangle, not
Mm,
really spoken, between your character, Lynn's character, and Norman, who plays Daryl, of course.
right.
Uh, let's focus on Carver and Leah. Do you think Carver was in love romantically with Leah, Lynn Collins?
I was told by Angela Kang that we had like we had like a conference call just to kind of update me with where they were going to go with everything, and she kind of let me know backstory stuff with how they had devised it. But
Mm-hmm.
it was all along was like it's a brother sister relationship. Like it's nothing sexual.
Okay.
So and then you know so I actually never even I didn't even think anything of it. I just there was one of the directors. I remember we had a scene where we were walking. It was like a really simple scene, and the director was like, "Man, just the chemistry between you two." Yeah, I was like,
It was
"What?"
intense.
Yeah, so in my mind, I was like, I never even, which Lynn is beautiful, very spiritually open and aware, and we connected on like other things outside of just acting.
Yeah.
So I think maybe that chemistry that kind of showed through, that
Mm-hmm.
connection.
And it
Um,
worked. It worked for the
yeah,
show. It definitely worked. Now,
yeah.
there's the animosity between your character, Carver, and Daryl. You guys, you don't like him. I mean, that's not a secret. You don't like him. Um, do you think there was ever a moment after Leah was trying to convince Carver that, no, I vouch for him, he's one of us? Do you think Carver ever really bought it, or he always thought in the back of his mind, this guy is not with us, he's not one of us, he's going to screw us over in the first chance he gets?
Yeah, I think I feel like as much as I was an a-hole, I was right.
Yeah,
It's like I
and
was
you
right
said
to
so
never
as
trust this
well.
guy. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you should have killed him off. It's like should have fucking like, and I knew it. So I feel like the way I chose to play it, but it was written really well. So
Mm-hmm.
I just played what was written. But my intention with it was, don't give this guy an inch. Even if I'm being nice and I'm like playful, I'm still talking shit. It is. I'm
Yeah.
not gonna. And also, you got to remember these guys were supposed to be like special forces guys too, military guys.
Yeah,
I think it
mercenaries.
was like a part of like a little bit of hazing too there, but yeah, I feel like until proven otherwise, I'm not going to trust this guy,
Yeah.
and so I kept it really just really simple. I mean, there was some writing I felt like was like meant to be a little more playful, but I just made it more matter of fact,
Did
which
did you and Norman have any discussions on how you guys were going to work your scenes together?
no, that's actually what I really liked working with Norm as an actor is that he's so fucking I don't know if I can curse on this thing,
Oh yeah, yeah.
but
This is the
uh,
yeah, absolutely.
he's so grounded as a person and so laid back and really just welcoming. Like there's nothing. I worked with other actors sometimes, and they take up a lot of oxygen. Where you're just like,
Yeah.
oh, I gotta, gotta give this guy his space. And man, he was so laid back. And by the time I got there, it was their 11th, almost 12th year filming. So, um, and he was still really passionate about the work. That's what me and Richie Coster, plays
Plays
Pope.
Pope. Yeah.
Yeah, we were like, fuck, man. Like, we were joking around between ourselves. Me and Richie were like, we work 4 days in a row, and we feel like we're the hardest working actors in showbiz. It's like you got this guy here for like over a decade working, and he's like still cares. He was always trying to figure out how they could make the scene better, and that's really infectious. When you're in a
Yeah.
scene, you're like, oh, cool, man. Like,
It
so
makes you bring your game up a level as well.
yeah. So yeah, no, he was
So,
cool about it.
so when you got the role, was there any nerves? Because this is a mega hit show. It's been running for well over a decade. Did you have any butterflies, any nerves the day before you walked onto that set?
No, I didn't. I actually didn't. I felt like TV has always felt like a different, like a safer medium. I feel like film always seemed a little scarier. And it could be like a dated version of because I first came on the scene as an actor was during the Twilight films.
Exactly. And that's
So,
another franchise. So
yeah,
the Twilight films intimidated. Well, you were also younger as well.
yeah.
Did those intimidated you more than walking onto the Walking Dead set?
Yeah, they intimidated me because I know that there was like a big fandom there, right?
Yeah.
So, and I know I talked to Lynn, and that was a big kind of like fear that she had was the fandom of it. Like her job as an actor, it's like it's sound. She's an incredible actress. Her choices are awesome, and she knows how to do her work. But then there's another aspect to that work where you got fans that like love these characters, and if
Oh yeah.
and so I think that probably took her by storm from what the conversations we had.
And
But
it's
for
also
me,
scary because, we talked about this with Lynn as well. You have a lot of fans who are really into it that can't distinguish the character from the actor. And that's where it
Yeah.
gets a little scary as well.
I actually enjoyed it. So I feel like I was prepared because in Twilight, like, I had people that would hated my character because, I was a vampire or
Yeah.
I was not a
werewolf.
vampire. I was a werewolf.
Yeah.
And so I had posted a thing where on my Instagram account where it's the scene where I'm basically arguing with Daryl, and Lynn has to, Leah, she's got to like tell me to stop, like stop arguing with him. And I put on there, I only listen to chicks, not dicks, like DIX. I had some fans get mad, like, why are you so bad? You're so mean to Daryl. They took it really serious.
Yeah, they did.
I loved it. I played it as Carver. I just kind of an asshole, play with it. So no, I enjoy it. I actually, it's really fun going into something where there's passionate fans.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and The Walking Dead definitely has its passionate fans. The Twilight Saga, oh my God. I know time has passed, but that was huge as well. Did you find the crew, the cast, when you came onto The Walking Dead, very welcoming?
Yeah, actually, it was really from every single department. I mean, it felt like a family because people had been there for so long, and just hearing stories and I felt really welcomed in a way that I hadn't. Normally, when you film a film, it's the first time. Everyone's kind of being assembled.
Yeah.
Same with like if it's TV, departments kind of switch around a lot. But this, it felt like really loyal. People were there and really engaged, man. So I think I felt like I was right at home. It's the first time I had ever felt that way, and it's kind of a bummer to leave too. When I left, I'm like, oh man, I miss Georgia, just the vibe there, the people.
We all hear about the brutal conditions, the summer conditions in Georgia and in The Walking Dead. And of course, they had you and the Reapers pretty dressed up. I mean, they didn't put you guys in tank tops and flip flops. You know what I'm saying? So was this, in all the roles that you have played, one of the most physically challenging? Maybe it took a lot out of you.
Yeah. I remember that. So there was a day we're filming right before my death scene. We're in this courtyard, and we were filming Elijah's view on the tower, the sniper tower.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was just like a big wide. They hadn't come in yet to get like coverage, all of our and there was a lot of coverage to get too, because there was like all the actors there, right? And so they were shooting that, and it was like one of the hottest days in summer, and it was a Georgia summer, and I had all this gear on, and I was drinking water, but I didn't realize that I was sweating it all out, so I wasn't actually really hydrating. It was coming out real quick, and I remember Jeffrey Dean Morgan, he was like talking about how he was talking to one of the crew, he was talking to one of the crew members, and he's like, oh yeah, filming in Georgia summer is like filming in someone's mouth. And he was like, and then Jeffrey Dean, he like interrupted him. He's like, actually, it's like filming in someone's anus. Yeah. And, it was like the hottest day. We're filming, and then they finally start coming down after it was like 6 days or 6 hours filming. And they come down and start filming, and man, I start getting really lethargic.
Mm-hmm.
I start talking slower, and I looked at Jeffrey. He's looking at me. He's like, "You good?" I'm like, "Yeah." And the next thing I know, I have one of a nurse, an on-set nurse, and she's like, "Okay, so here's what we need to do. We need to start stripping everything down, and we need you to drink this." And she gave me this like electrolyte drink, and I was like, "Oh, okay." So I'm kind of just listening to directions, and fucking next thing I know, I'm like being like, I got a PA over here and over here, and they're like walking me to a video village. It's all like really dark, and they're taking off all my clothes. I'm literally just in my underwear, and they have ice packs, and they're putting it all over the place. And man, I like vomited. I didn't know what the hell was going on. And they were like, "It's all right,
It's like a heat stroke." Yeah, that's some serious stuff. Let's talk about your death scene. When you got the script and you saw how Carver's time was going to come to an end, what were your initial thoughts? Because a lot of people, like I said, I've spoken to a lot of people who've been on the show, and when they find out they're going to die, they go to the director, at least, make my death scene good, Tom Payne, who played Jesus, said that to Michael Satrazemis, give me a good death. So when you read how Carver was going to go out, do you think it gave the character justice, or he went out less than what you would have liked?
I was walking my dog one day and saw Lauren plays Maggie.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and she's like, "Oh yeah," and I thought I'm gonna play Carver, and she's like, "Oh no way." And at that point, I had just started watching the show, and I was like, "Holy fuck!" When I saw her performance, I was blown away by her as an actress. I'm like, "Man, she's incredible." And so I was telling her about that. That's like, there's no false beat with her performance. She was like, "Oh, thank you," and we were talking. But I remember thinking, like, at that point, I was told that Elijah was going to kill me. Is that his character? I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, Elijah, because Carver is the one that killed Elijah's family, his sister, and so on.
So I was told that initially it was going to be him. He was going to get just it was just like just straightforward. I killed the sister, he's going to kill me. Type of revenge,
Yeah.
I thought, that's not that. That wasn't that fun to me. I was like, all right, cool. But when I saw her perform, and then when I met her, I'm like, fuck, I would love for her to off me. Like that'd be a badass death, And man, then I got the script and I read it and I saw that she does it. I was like, it felt cool because it was unexpected the way they did it as well. And I liked the turn too, that like in her doing that, she became pretty evil actually.
Exactly. And I think I spoke about this with Lynn. Yesterday's episode, the two predominant characters were Leah and Maggie. Maggie, in the end, I mean, we knew she has been on, since you binge watched the show, you know that she has been on a dark path ever since Glenn got killed. And what happened in yesterday's episode, I mean, totally took her to the dark side. Not, I mean, killing you, yeah, we saw that for Elijah. It was sort of justified. But the way she went after the other three and just shot them in the back,
Yeah.
uh, what are your thoughts on that? Having binge watched all the seasons and seeing her character progression, I thought it was really good. It takes her character to a whole new level.
Yeah. I loved it. I loved it. I loved also how it played with the relationship with Daryl as well. And they
Yeah.
did that really cool reveal of like the time lapse where all of
Hmm.
a sudden she's on, the wall. I don't know if it was Meridian where she was at, but then you see, Daryl take the mask off and
Yeah.
it looks like they're on opposite sides of things. Like
It
that
was
was
six
cool.
months later, and he's part of the
Yeah.
Commonwealth, and that's where they end the episode. I got to see. AMC gave me next week's episode. It's available now for people on AMC Plus, and they're going full blown into the Commonwealth, and we'll see what that brings. The Reapers were a fascinating group, and if I'm correct, I don't think they were a part of the comics. I think that was something that was just added for the television show. Uh, so I got to ask you because again, you're in a unique position, having binge watched all the seasons pretty recently. Do you think the show needed another group like the Reapers, or do you think that was kind of overplayed already?
I don't, I was what, there was, some of the crew on the set were really excited about, the Reapers.
Yeah,
And they were showing a lot of, they were just saying like, man, it's about time we have paramilitary, you know, crew here that like, that just really kicks ass, Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel like there've always been different groups, But for me, for my money, I mean, the best group were the Whisperers,
oh god, yeah, they were
Whisper
scary.
Wars. Like they were so freaking cool. And that was the thing is like by the time we started filming the Reaper stuff, I had gotten to the Whisper Wars, and I was like, oh man, we're not nearly as cool as they are. I was a little, I was seeing the different groups. I was like, oh, we're better. We're better. I was like really confident what we were going to be doing. And then once we got there, like Alpha and, Omega, I was like, oh, damn, they're really good.
Now,
Um,
Carver never really, even after Pope was killed, he never was one after power. It seemed like your character never wanted to be in charge of the Reapers. In your mind, how did you come to terms with that? Like everybody was totally cool with once Pope died, letting Leah take over.
yeah, I think her position as like a female in power, um, I kept thinking that in like times of darkness like that there's something to be said about nurturing.
Yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be. There's certain, and I feel like especially if you're military, the way we were, is that there has to be a certain amount of discipline. Um, even though obviously we're like murdering all kinds of people, but within that, there's like an ethos that's like we have a certain belief that keeps us strong as a strong unit.
hmm
I kept thinking that it was more like the divine feminine, that we were really like honoring of that position, of that ability of power, because we're talking about like God, right?
yeah.
Like man, what more powerful thing than being able to give life, as a woman. So
Absolutely. And everybody, it was like no question. Once Pope was killed, the next natural person to lead was Leah. Let's talk about your career. You were in the majority of the Twilight movies as part of the Werewolf clan. You were also in Suicide Squad as well. So you've been on some pretty big budget projects. Uh, do you credit Twilight with really springboarding your career?
oh, for sure, yeah, that was and it wasn't just like the role was so small in those films, but there was so much fandom around it all
Mm-hmm.
that I mean, it got me my whole representation, my acting agency, and manager, and just everything. And it allowed me to move to LA and just really go hard for different roles, audition for things. Because up until that point, I was living in Arizona,
Yeah.
and I didn't know if it was ever going to happen, as an actor. So having that, and it wasn't just one movie, it was like an automatic 3 films
Yeah.
that I was contracted for. That cool, man, I'll just do
Oh wait,
one.
so
And then,
you did not go in for the first movie and thought that was it. You knew you were going to do three of them.
yeah, I
Nice.
already knew. Yeah, so I had like I do the first one and then have enough time to audition or even just make the rounds and meet different casting directors and things like that, and then film the next one. So yeah, it definitely gave me it was mostly confidence, man. I think really as an actor, it's a confidence game. It's not, I think everyone has a unique voice. There's something we all want to communicate is why we're actors,
Mm-hmm.
but really, really trusting yourself. Um, that's where really cool performances I think come out. And
Did you guys become really close on the Twilight set?
oh, we definitely did. Yeah. They were it was like a fraternity, man. You kind of like went to school together all these years and promotional tours and interviews together. And then once you're kind of out of there, you're always going to remember that. I actually saw Christian Serratos on set, but I didn't get a chance to say hi to her because she was, we were kind of like, it was passing.
Yeah.
Um, I thought, damn, it was kind of cool to see her.
See,
So yeah,
and Twilight springboarded so many careers. Robert Pattinson, I mean, he's coming out as the Batman here
yeah,
in like a week and a half. And
yeah.
there's a lot of anticipation for that. It springboarded so many careers, and it was a great franchise, and it did a lot of good. And then you got another role in the Suicide Squad. What was that like?
It was cool. Yeah, we filmed with the. I mean, that was it was a small role. The
Hmm.
role eventually got cut out. There were so many different
Yeah.
stories within that. It was like an A story, a B story, a story. I was probably like the F story that when it got to the edit, they're like, let's just cut this out. So it didn't my stuff in it, which was heavily with Scott Eastwood.
Yeah.
Our stuff got like cut out. A lot of the Joker stuff got cut out. It was like the film just got edited in such a different way
Hmm.
than what the script initially was.
And
But
that's something that's like completely out of your hands. Once you're
yeah,
done, your job is done, and it goes into post production. There's
yeah,
nothing you can do about it. It's
yeah.
just the way it works. Moving forward in your career, uh, I mean, is there a genre, whether it's film or television, that you'd like to do more of?
Yeah, actually, the I'm writing something right now, and it's more in because just my background with my family and stuff. It was a lot more like urban hip hop, like crime thriller, you know, and it's just in that world. I like to really, and I got so many friends that are still in it, like actively. They're like active gang members and still selling,
Yeah.
products, still selling things. And so there's a certain but they're really strong characters. They're really interesting the way they talk and the way they communicate their worldviews. So I'm working on something like writing for these type of for those type of people. And there's a side of me that like, which for Carver, I actually just have to access. My day to day. I'm a
Hmm.
dad, I'm a husband. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So I play nice, but there's definitely a lot of darkness
Oh
from
yeah.
the things I grew up seeing. So it's really refreshing to be able to play a character like Carver. I could just be fucking full on, you know what I mean?
And just
Intense.
let it all out. It's like
Yeah.
therapeutic right there on the
Yeah.
screen. You have done writing and producing and shorts. Down the
Mhm.
line, is that something you want to explore further? Maybe
Yep.
into feature films, like maybe even develop your own television series and do your writing and producing?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. That's where when I'm on set, I'm looking in those ways too. While I'm acting, I'm also looking at kind of the tone, how they're capturing the tone of the show. I look at the acting, like the camaraderie, because
Yeah.
I'm also thinking for myself, like if I'm directing, how can I bring everyone together so it all connects and they're all communicating in the same way, So I'm very, very conscious of that. That's what was really beautiful about The Walking Dead is that, sometimes you're trying to find the tone and the voice of the character. And,
Hmm.
and when you get on like a movie for the first time or a TV show that they're just filming a pilot, everyone's a little hot. They're a little under or a little high. And coming in, it was like everyone knew the tone, the voice was spot on. And I actually felt like I had the the greatest advantage was working with Norm so much of the time.
Hmm.
because he's just so fucking grounded that I'm like, oh, I just match that. Whatever he's doing, I can't get too high or too low. It's just kind of stay within there, and I know it's gonna look great. So
That is
yeah, I
so
have like
cool. And you mentioned this earlier. I mean, Tales of the Walking Dead is coming out. There's a lot that we don't know about the Reapers. A lot. And it's very possible. Lynn, we don't know what's going. She's still alive. We don't know what's going to happen with Leah. Are we going to see her again before this season wraps? Are we not? We just don't know. Your character is dead, but that doesn't mean anything. Tales is going to explore a lot of the characters that we have seen over the last 11 plus years and give us more of a background story. So I'm assuming if you got the call and say, hey, we're doing an episode going deep into the Reapers and Carver and Leah, are you on board? You'd be all over that, right?
oh for sure. And by the way, I was supposed to get hit in the head with the that scythe. I don't know whatever that was. A little the
Yeah. It
blade.
was like a homemade scythe, and it was
Yeah,
wicked.
they that got hit in the chest. So it's like you can argue that maybe I had a Bible or something. Wake up again. So
Yeah,
there's ways, man.
Maggie did not spare anybody. She went totally ruthless. Alex, I want to thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your experiences with us on The Walking Dead and your career. Any final thoughts you want to share before we go?
No, man, I'm just happy to be board with this journey and the fans. I'm glad that you reached out to me just to kind of further,
Absolutely. You
communicate.
are forever a part of The Walking Dead lore and family now.
Oh yeah, that's awesome, brother. Well, much success and good luck with everything else you do. And I hope to be on here again for Carver's Revenge. Or
Absolutely. That'll
all
be
right.
the Tales of the Walking Dead title episode.
Yeah, man.
Carver's Revenge. Guys, our audience, I want to thank you for tuning in. A big thank you again to Alex Meraz. And may Carver, for the meantime, rest in peace. Uh,
Yes.
guys, stay safe. On behalf of Alex and myself, till next time, stay walking. Good night, everybody.
Cheers.